Cole Sprouse.
Hello.
No worries. Hello, Cole Sprouse. Welcome to Variety Live.
Hello.
That
Look,
what are you drinking? Is that water?
No, this is coffee. My ability to socialize is now completely gone. So take into account if I start to ramble and babble endlessly, it's just because I haven't talked to anybody in a while.
Blame it on the quar. Blame it on the quar is what I say. It's doing a little something to all of us.
Yeah.
Did you say blame it on the Animal Crossing?
Yeah, for sure.
How's your island in Animal Crossing, by the way? Are you playing the stock market yet?
Oh yeah. Reached out to Twitter like last week, 2 weeks ago. Got a great price. Yeah, I'm manipulating the market, the stock market. Are you playing?
How many? I am playing. My turnips, first of all, I missed out on buying last week. But mine never seem to go for that much. It's like the most I've gotten is like 111 bells.
I mean, I use one of those profit calculators online. I mean, I use one of those like pattern calculators online to predict what pattern you're in. And you just enter your price in the morning and the night, and then it'll show you when the best time to sell is. It's incredibly advanced. Honestly, Animal Crossing has taught me more about the real life stock market than university did.
I thought I was just building this island, and I didn't know I was actually signing up for a debt simulator.
Yeah, no,
is how I
but
consumed Animal Crossing.
It's cuter, because you're in debt to a raccoon. Well, a tanuki. But when it's a raccoon, you're like, okay. All right, I get it.
Yeah, it makes you feel right. Exactly. Can we talk about you're winning the quarantine facial hair game right now?
Am I? Against who?
Yeah,
a younger
self? Think so. I think against a lot of people. Those pictures that you just posted recently. Did you anticipate the reaction that it got?
Oh, you mean my likeness to Terrence Howard?
Yes, I would.
I can't say I anticipated that. No, but I'll admit that was maybe one of the hardest I've laughed at a strange late night Twitter trend in a long time, and also gave me the perfect foot in the door to start a conversation with Terrence Howard, which is incredible, which I never had before. So that's going to be great. No, this is one of the, not to talk too much about facial hair, but this is one of the only times I've had in my life to actually grow facial hair. But I was growing it out for a role, this movie called Undercover with Lionsgate. And then, this all happened. So lots of productions have ceased, and now I'm just sitting here growing it out in competition with my brother.
Who's winning? I think you're winning, right?
I know. He's been for a couple weeks longer than me, and his is like he's got that sort of Shakespearean point.
Seems appropriate with the mead business and
yes.
Everything. You also have launched a podcast, Borrasca. Tell me about this. How did this come about? You are a voice in it, and you are also producing. To be clear, it's also not like a podcast where like, hey guys, let's talk about the daily hot topics or whatever. Sure. This is a narrative. Yeah,
I mean, it's the studio that I worked with. Q Code is and they worked with Rami Malek on a podcast and Chloe Grace Moretz, and it's much more like a radio play, like those kind of old school radio serials. So it's more of like a long form narrative piece. But it started the way a lot of those projects that you end up pursuing start, with just kind of like a fascination to try out some voice acting. I'd never really done voice acting before, so not on this scale or this caliber. So I wanted to try it out, and then I had met with the guys over at Q Code. And we just had a great conversation. And then the actual story of Borrasca, funny enough, started as a kind of no-sleep creepypasta online that became popular. And then, all these sort of fan fan YouTube videos were created about it and narrating it and all that. And then we brought in a writer named Rebecca Klingel who did an incredible job on it. She worked on The Haunting of Hill House, did an incredible job on it, and then we sort of just built it up from the ground there. Lots of fun. But we finished the production of that just before the quarantine started.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's a mystery, right? Like, this is what's the premise of the story?
I would say in terms of tone, it's kind of like an atmospheric horror, about much like The Haunting of Hill House. It has that same kind of claustrophobia. The environment itself is a large character within the piece, and plays a huge role. Yeah, it was fun. It is a mystery. I don't want to spoil too much about it. It is a mystery, and it's a lot more grim than I think people think it's going to be. So for the younger audience, I would say check the rating on it. Make sure you know what you're going in for. It really ramps up. So it's 8 episodes. I think 8 episodes is what we landed on in post production, and it comes out this Monday.
How was it voice acting? Did you find it challenging? Was it, I don't know, less pressure since you can kind of like roll up in your sweats? Like, how did it compare for you?
Yeah. No, I haven't sweats once during quarantine. I'm that weird guy that throws on jeans every day.
What? That is inflammatory, Cole.
Every day. Every day.
You are not allowed to wear pants that button during quarantine. Don't you know that?
No, you gotta do it. You gotta wake up. You gotta take your shower. You gotta get on the routine. You gotta do it. No, I mean, I think with every project that you do, you have to take a different kind of methodological approach to it. And I think what was interesting for me about Borrasca was, and really as my first voice acting project, is just finding that balance between, how much emphasis you have to place on reading the dialogue when someone is only getting an emotion through something audible. When you don't have the ability to rely on, like, let's say sadness, you don't have the ability to rely on something like a quivering lip or like a physical expression or a manifestation of that emotion. Where do you have to push the line vocally? Which I found really fun and interesting. But the way we recorded Borrasca was, we had a bunch of actors in the same room reading it at the same time, which really helped with that. So we were also consistently going back and listening, and the way that Q Code lets you sort of get into or immerse yourself within the narrative is they'll also be playing background sounds to get you into a sort of setting and allow you to imagine. Now, technically, the ability to consistently film or do take after take after take was really, really nice, and one thing I will miss quite a bit.
On average, how many takes do you think you did?
Something like this. Like 3 takes a scene.
Okay.
Not too many, yeah. But the ability to do the wait for a reset without having to wait for the setups that could potentially take you out of it. So that's great.
And it sounds like it really kind of both challenged you creatively and offered you something of an outlet.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, that's kind of the litmus test for what you should be doing. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, right? Because especially right now, we are oftentimes within the entertainment industry just inundated with content, whether it's podcasts, whether it's TV shows or film or whatever it is, and it can feel quite intimidating to be a small fish in a huge pond and dip your toe into it, so to speak. But as long as you feel challenged and you're enjoying what you're doing and it's sort of lending itself to the lifestyle you're pursuing, then do it outright, just fearlessly.
Riverdale had to cut short its season. You guys were one of the first productions who kind of cut production off early because of the outbreak, and actually ended your season not exactly how you planned. What's the latest with the show? Do you know if and when you're going back to work?
Yeah, I mean, we're at the whim of the same forces that every other production's at the whim at right now. You know, uh, people inside the industry are throwing around this illusory date somewhere in September that things will start returning to, you know, a new normal, so to speak. But it's up in the air. All of us, I think, all of us are sitting and waiting to hear definitive news, like everyone else in the industry. Um, but we did get picked up for another season. We actually got picked up for we got picked up for the fifth, and I think sixth. I don't know. But aside from the halting of production due to quarantine, we're going to keep on trucking. But it's interesting because a lot of the industry has been discussing how production continues with new regulations. You know, how production will continue if romantic scenes have to have a brand new etiquette, if certain amount of background is no longer allowed. New restrictions.
Like, what do you think? What do you think is going to be necessary for you to feel safe in production again?
I mean, I think just establish trust. I think something like Riverdale, who we've had a consistent rapport with the same crew, and we're now going into our fifth season. We have the luxury of feeling very safe around our production team. So, you know, it's not like a film where you go in and you meet a brand new environment with a brand new set of people and you don't know them and you're establishing a rapport, and then if you can feel safe based on that. But you know, I feel safe around everyone I work with on Riverdale, and obviously this has been a time within the entertainment industry where and the world, where we've really sat down and started going, okay, what do we need to do to ensure the health and safety of our employees, which unfortunately in a capitalist society is a little bit rare. So I'm taking every ounce of it that I can get and sitting with it. And I know that whatever we cook up, I mean, Riverdale was really, we really jumped on the safety of it pretty quick, and I respect that our show did that. We were one of the first to shut down, and it was preventative and preemptive, and it was to ensure the safety of the people working for the set. And I think if we're going to take off of that model, what we had done before, and we continue to be proactive, then I'm going to feel safe regardless.
Yeah. Speaking of the next season, you know, Skeet Ulrich said he's not coming back, and he mentioned that he didn't feel creatively challenged on the show. Is that something that you have ever encountered, being on something for so long?
I don't know. I think sure. I think it's easy as an actor, especially on a long-term project, to start feeling like creatively you're repeating the same motifs or whatever it is. But in truth, Jughead was a much more prominent character than FP was on the show. So I don't think I'm really qualified to speak on that, because to compare and contrast our two positions is sort of fruitless. Skeet's like truly a second father to me, so I'm like ride or die for that guy. So anything that makes the guy happy is something that makes me happy. And that's the cool thing about working with people on a long-term project like this, is that you really do become close, and you stay close outside of the job. Like nothing's going to break the bonds that you develop amongst people you work with for 5 or 6 years. I'm still incredibly close to the Sweet Life cast. So it's up to him, and I can tell he's super happy, and that's all that really matters.
And for you guys still on the cast, I mean, you've been at this for a while, and a lot of you've all branched out to other things creatively. So how many seasons do you think you have left in you?
Contractually, like legally, or
however you want to take it.
yeah, because it's not as simple as like an opinion. Oh, like a flavor of the week. No, I mean, look, I think a lot of people misunderstand the nature of an actor's role on something like a long form television show. Uh, you sign up to a contract for a while, and you do the best that you can do considering the contract. I think something interesting about social media is that it's shown a light on the nature of the other roles within something like the entertainment industry, like how much the writer is responsible for certain scenes, how much the director is responsible for certain scenes, how much the editor is responsible for the final product. And I think you to understand your role as an actor is to understand that you are oftentimes at the whim of more creative professions behind the camera. For me, as long as the show that I'm working on, Riverdale, is one that I continue to have fun on and work with all my closest friends, which I do, it's a privilege to be a working actor. And I think to sit and stare at something in the face and you can laugh at yourself and you can criticize something you worked for, but I think it's incredibly pretentious and ignorant to look at something that you are blessed to have and go like, I'm done. Like something has a shelf life, but I think Riverdale has a large audience and very many people enjoy it and very many people have fun and it brings them joy. And as long as I can do that and inspire something like that through whatever narrative it is, then that's like the currency of acting. And I think that's incredible. And I would love to continue to do that. And I get to eat free food on set. I mean, come on.
Doesn't get better than that.
Doesn't get better than that.
So during this time, you mentioned that production has been disrupted. So how have you been staying creative? What have you been binging?
I've been playing a lot of video games. The productivity conversation is interesting, right? And all of us are already getting these questions where people are going, what have you done? What have you started training? What skills have you accrued? Essentially, what they're asking is how productive are you going to be able to be as a member of the workforce when this whole thing ends, right? That's really what the question is about. And honestly, this is one of those times where to force yourself to acquire new skills for the sake of saying like you had a productive quarantine or whatever it is. This is one of those rare times where if you're privileged and lucky enough to feel safe and be safe, to actually be able to relax, like truly relax, take a step away from having to commodify almost everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis and find time to work on your mental health and find time to work on your physical health. And, you can train those skills. But I think for me, aside from having to prepare for this other role that I was doing, I think I've tried to take as much time as possible to do nothing, like truly nothing, enjoy myself and sit and relax and grow out my mustache until it catches all the soup that I'm cooking.
Oh, the challenges of facial hair. Has that been an issue? It sounds like it has been. It looks good. It looks good. If I didn't say that before, I want
to. I feel like one. Oh, thank you. I feel like when I was a little kid, you used to slick back your hair with a bunch of gel, and then you just sit there picking it all day. And I'm constantly seeing if it's still there.
Does it itch? Because that's what my husband always says. Whenever he grows out, he's like, it itches. It itches.
Yeah, in the beginning, it started itching quite a bit, but no longer. Now it's just stinks.
So you talked about, before I let you go, we said now you have this inroad to talk to Terrence Howard. Have you guys actually had a conversation?
No. I feel like that would be kind of an awkward conversation too. Like, hey man, well look, the internet. Like, well, like what do I even say? But I would love to meet Terrence Howard.
Borrasca comes out on Monday, on Memorial Day. When can we find new episodes? Is it all coming out at once?
So every Monday, it's going to be a new episode is going to be released.
Awesome. Cole, always good to talk to you. We'll have to visit each other's Animal Crossing.
Yep, thanks for
always.
Please do send me the phone
card. Say hi to Matt for me.
All right, I will.
Okay, good. All right.
Thanks. Nice talking to you.
See you soon.